So here we are at the task scheduler. And what I'm going to do is, there's a lot of places where you can put things. I'm just going to put something right here. Most people don't even go in here. Honestly, a lot of people probably don't. So I'm going to create a basic task. We're just going to call this, administrative functions. It's a backup routine. People tend not to want to mess with that kind of thing. Don't touch CBOB. That'll keep someone from looking at this. I just want to run it in this case one time. I'm worried that, I want to frame Bob, or I'm worried that, whatever the motivation. If I want to frame Bob, we're going to set this off in June. Or if I'm worried that I'm not going to be there for June, let's run it at 11:25 flat in the evening. Next, we're going to start a program. We're going to run the malicious script that I wrote called ASDF. It could be anything. It could be anywhere. The more official this kind of thing looks, the less likely another admin is going to look at it. Next, and finish. Now, a decision point. If I know what Bob's password is because I shoulder surfed him or he wrote it down or I somehow know it, this thing can become a lot more destructive. As it is, let's say that I don't know Bob's password. So we're going to do this, run whether or not it's logged in or not. And because I don't know Bob's password, I'm going to say don't store it. I don't know what it is. If you don't check that, then it'll prompt you for Bob's password. You got to go back a step or tinker with this some more. As it is, let's say we're in a hurry. Bob stepped away for a few minutes. We want to just get this done and frame him or whatever. So we do that. And that's going to run with highest privileges on this local machine. Boop. There you go. Logic bomb is set. Now, an auditor may see that this has never been run, and it's not scheduled to run until June. Now, I just decided to rename this June backup. It's the June backup, so that's why it hasn't run yet. Anyway, so there you go. Logic bomb is set. Now, the moment that everybody's really kind of been waiting for, I think. What happens to a Windows machine when you just, while it's turned on and running, simply erase its operating system? Well, here we go. This is what's going to happen on June 1 unless I extend it or delete that task. I'm just going to manually run it just so you can kind of watch this thing disintegrate and then see what happens when that's done. The timer may run out. It's not very interesting. All you're going to see is a whole bunch of script stuff just running, and there it goes. It is in the process now of just shredding apart the System32 folder and deleting everything it can. Now, some things are going to be running, and you'll see those here in a little while. Because there's no retries and no wait, this will happen very, very quickly, and it just will skip past those things that happen to be in use at the time. So there you go. And again, this would be happening at 11 o'clock at night. Depending on the settings of the system, even if you're watching the screen, you might not even see it run because it would run as a task in the background. I think I set this to run whether or not Bob was logged in or not. So this would be happening when the machine's logged off. So yeah, it's going to be a few minutes. If the video times out again, which it probably will during this, I will restart it at the end when it completes. But all that will happen is it's going to sit here and do this. It's treating all these things. If we kind of grab this for a second, it's saying that all these things are extra files and deleting them because they don't exist in that empty folder I made. So right now it's chewing through these packages. These look like Windows Update components. Every now and then it'll pause for just a hair and continue on. So while this is happening, I guess I'll just kind of recap some of the ways that you can defend against this sort of thing. One is accountability. If you have more than one person auditing things together, literally in the same room or sharing a screen, that's a good step. It's hard to keep a secret when there's more than one person involved. It's really hard to keep it when there's more than two. And actually, I don't know if you caught that. So I can go up here. There you go. Some of these things were trying to be deleted, but they're being used by another process. That's fine and good. That's the kind of stuff you see. But again, no retries and no waiting between attempts at erasing that file. It's just deleting everything else. Again, this is akin to draining the oil from the car. There might be some oil left in the oil pan, but there's not enough. And like I said, in a few minutes, I think I tested this a little while ago earlier today. It probably takes about 10 minutes. In a few minutes, this will things will end, and the system will stop responding. The minute you try to open a window or look at anything or do whatever, it won't work because your operating system has been erased. So we'll let that cook. Okay, ways to defend. Like I was saying, accountability. More than one person has to have accountability to ensure that server is running correctly. It's okay to delegate some of these things to junior people, but especially like tasks. But when it comes to keeping things running and accountable, you should have a couple of more senior people working together to sign off that said, "Yep, we went through that system on that day, and it was correct." Backups. You should have an operating system backup. This particular attack is attacking your operating system. Now, it's not going to help you if in that scheduled task, I went in and said to just start this job immediately if the date is missed. That is an option, but all the same, you stand a better chance of recovering this thing if you have a backup. Even if somebody put one of these logic bombs in there, at least then you might have some idea of what to look for at that point. Or when you log in, this thing kicks off and you watch your operating system kind of close in on itself. This will cause substantial frustration for someone, but having some form of backup is better than nothing. Let's see what else would guard against this. Oh yeah, don't leave elevated command prompts laying around. Don't give people elevated access that don't need it. Users of the system, even junior people, to go monitor something, they just need to share with read-only access on things to go and look at logs or whatever. A lot of times, depending on what it is they're supposed to be monitoring. Not everybody needs administrative access. In fact, even as an admin, you shouldn't be running around with administrative access unless you have to do one of those things that requires administrative access. And then your password should be known only to you and fairly complicated. Those are just, now I'm starting to sound like the security textbook, right? Don't give people the access that they shouldn't have. In this case, I either shoulder surfed Bob and I'm trying to frame him, or Bob was really careless and walked away from, maybe he had a locked server room, but maybe he just walked away from that. Here, by the way, here's another set of access issues. Looks like we're attacking event logs. It's fine. There's not going to be enough of this computer left over to even get to your event logs. What else? Looking at all your scheduled tasks in detail and being real critical about what they do and who owns them and what they're calling, all of that is a good idea. You should go check your targets too. It doesn't take a real stroke of genius to just take a scheduled tasks target that it's supposed to be running with administrative access and modify that target. So let's say it does run a backup.bat file. My attack could be then to just rename backup.bat and copy my version of backup.bat in, which does this. There. That took a few minutes. Let's try to use Windows. That seems okay. I wonder what happens if I reboot. In my testing, this did really shred up the computer. Let's see what really happens here. What should happen is Windows shouldn't boot. In this particular instance, it's a little different than my test in that Windows was still somewhat functional. We'll see. I'd really hate to have to remake this last portion of the video. Yeah. So this is what happens now when Windows can't find things like key parts of